Stolen Valor. We've all seen the videos, and it's usually an autist in a shopping mall bedecked in a military uniform, being either surrounded or hassled by actual military veterans, calling into question his right to wear the accoutrements of the armed forces. These encounters can range from simple teasing to outright hostility and threats of bodily violence. And in these videos, it's usually some guy wearing a dress or a battle dress uniform, but wearing the different tags or patches or badges or medals in the wrong spot. And this is what draws in the inquisitors of Stolen Valor. And they go something like this. "Hey there, buddy. I see you're wearing that uniform. What unit did you serve in, buddy?" And here the costume wearer will not know, so he'll give some kind of answer that he thinks will allay the situation. But it doesn't. It usually riles up the street inquisitors even more. "No, buddy. No, not true. The 25th Infantry Division is based out of Schofield Barracks in Hawaii, buddy. Not Fort Bragg. No, that's not a marksman's badge, buddy. That's a sharpshooter's badge." And then this will go back and forth until the street inquisitor begins to berate the uniformed imposter. And then it goes something like, "No, buddy, no, I'm sorry, but you don't get to wear that camouflage or unit badge, buddy. You haven't earned it, buddy. Only those that put their life on the line for freedom and saving the liberty of all Americans get the honor of donning these sacred symbols of the US military," or thereabouts, and these videos will get millions of views. But there is something about these new and modern uniforms and the accoutrements that adorn them, specifically the massive increase in all the shiny little badges, ribbons, and medals, that is even more interesting than Stolen Valor, and it's called medal inflation. All of you have seen it, but probably never even noticed. And the story is very interesting. Hi everyone, just to let you know, I have some old favorites as well as new t-shirt designs on sale right now. Link to find them is in the description, and would like to thank you in advance, as it really does help the channel, as for years now, content like this has been put into an algorithmic black hole, as well as being demonetized. So thanks again, as well as I'm pretty sure you'll find something you will like. Stolen Valor is a real thing in the United States, and the Stolen Valor Act of 2013 makes it a crime for a person to fraudulently claim to having received a Valor Award with the intention of obtaining money, property, or other tangible benefits by convincing another that he or she received the award. And there have been many such instances of this kind for things like this happening. But for the average person, Stolen Valor is pretty much watching YouTube videos of guys wandering around in fatigues or dress uniforms and having exchanges like the ones outlined previously. What's even more relevant for the purposes of this presentation is the Stolen Valor Act of 2005, which was signed into law by then President George W. Bush in 2006, and then subsequently struck down by the Supreme Court in 2011, that made the unauthorized wear, manufacture, or sale of any military decorations and medals a crime, punishable by up to 1 year in prison. Now, about these medals, how much is valor and how much is heroism worth? Well, the nation's most revered medal, the Medal of Honor, which is made of a mostly brass alloy, costs $29.98 to produce, but also with the ribbon, the recipient receives a special tax-free Medal of Honor pension of $1,619.34 per month for life. However, of course, it's not the value of the ribbons, monetarily of course, but their symbolic value to the recipient, which makes them from priceless to worthless, depending on those that receive them and their views. Images like this of North Korean military officers bedecked in a sea of medals on their uniform usually gets a laugh or a chuckle from Americans that see this peacock display as a show of false bravado. Also, after the Second World War, those in the Soviet Union that earned their medals were never particularly shy or modest about wearing them at special occasions. Famed Second World War Marshal Grigory Zhukov, whose chest was practically buried behind glittering metal, was just such a man. And rightly so. At least he earned his medals of valor. But during the Cold War and after the subsequent collapse of the USSR, so too were Russian officers taken to wearing so many military decorations that the rank-and-file troops mockingly called them iconostases, after the wall of icons and paintings found in Eastern Orthodox churches. Moreover, a Russian newspaper quoting military officials stated that this flippant attitude toward decorations didn't help raise the authority of officers or the prestige of the armed forces, and thus, in 2019, the Russian military issued new regulations that only 2 rows of 5 medals each can now be worn, meaning no more than 10 medals could be worn on military dress uniforms at any given time. Now, take a look at these 2 men. On the right is General Mark Milley, who is bedecked in ribbons that denote having completed different types of training courses or for performance or exceptional achievements in specific positions. On the left is General George S. Patton, who helped defeat Pancho Villa in Mexico, and the Germans in World War I and the Germans and Italians in World War II. Do you notice anything? Here's a picture of General David Petraeus on the right, with pretty much the same board of ribbons as General Milley, denoting training courses completed and service rendered, along with unit citations among others. And on the left is Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of Allied Forces during World War II, and subsequently the President of the United States of America. Do you notice anything? If not, let me help. This is a picture of William Tecumseh Sherman taken in the aftermath of the Civil War. He's wearing only 1 ribbon, and the black ribbon of mourning around his left arm is for the then assassinated President Abraham Lincoln. This is a picture of General John J. Blackjack Pershing, who was commander of the American Expeditionary Forces during World War I, and he also served as a mentor to many in the generation of generals who led the United States Army during World War II, including George C. Marshall, Dwight Eisenhower, Omar Bradley, George S. Patton, and Douglas MacArthur. What you're looking at, if you haven't spotted it, is something called medal inflation, something the Russians put a stop to, as stated previously, in 2019. It's very much important to note that historically, the United States was very sparing with its medals. In fact, the U.S. Army didn't even have a medal that recognized battlefield valor until the Medal of Honor was introduced during the Civil War. But this changed after the First World War, but it was after the Second World War that saw the introduction of many unit service, time served, and other ribbons not associated with actual valor. And since the Vietnam War, medal packages are common, in which officers receive a set of medals merely for holding a certain rank or appointment. It's also very important is the fact that during, for example, the invasion of Iraq, medals for valor were awarded, they were awarded totally out of proportion with the danger experienced by the troops, and that the bravery awards were most likely to be issued to officers than to enlisted personnel. For example, of the 26 Silver Stars awarded for the 2003 capture of Baghdad, 4 were awarded to colonels, 11 to captains, and just 11 to NCOs. Not 1 went to privates or corporals. Now, with that having been said, the ribbon clutter of the wearer of a United States military uniform, and that from the visual standpoint of the observer, makes it nearly impossible to distinguish between the valorous and that of the career paper pusher to all but the most experienced students of phaloristics, which is the study of orders, fraternities, and award items, such as medals, ribbons, and other decorations. In fact, when looking at an American general in his dress uniform and the clutter of ribbons, tabs, badges, and citations, he looks just as much a costume-to-be-decked clown as any North Korean general. The valor has not been stolen, of course, but for the most part, the display of copious amounts of color makes the typical 21st century American general a walking wall of "great job" ribbons, none of which are awards for valor. But of course, instead focus is placed on autists playing dress-up and LARPing on streets by those that have served, and their inquisitions are uploaded to YouTube, rather than those that have and are playing valorous dress-up in the been there, done that collection of ribbons, American generals in particular. So then, I ask you, who is stealing valor from whom, and which is worse? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. Also, if you like this kind of material, please consider supporting the channel, and ways to do so is in the description below. Again, thank you, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye for now.